Oops, okay. So the timer we're using is a programmable timer. So what is it? What does that mean? We can tell it what type of timer we have, right? And like I said, I'll run this off so y'all can see this data sheet. This is what we call a contact control timer. This is just like the timer that we use in motor control. So that means this is solid state. So we're going to have to power up the electronic circuit on this guy all the time. Okay. You can see it? Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to control it with a contact. Now we are going to, so we can put an interval timer, we can program it to be an interval timer, triggered open, double interval timer, time delay on release, time delay on operate, time delay on release. So this was in motor controls. It was time delay on the open and time delay on close. Here they're saying release, and then they're saying open on operate. We'll show that we can use a recycle timer and all time. Of course, the only two timers that we're going to be using in our class is an on delay timer and an off delay. You okay? So this just shows us the different type of timing we get, but this is actually the internals of the timer. And I don't know if we have a I don't know if we have a dBm or a PBM. Nope, not. So this is where we set what timer we want, right? And then, like I said, the only two that we're using this class is the on delay, which would be delay on operate, and then the off, and then the off delay, which would be delay on release. Okay, and like I said, that's not something you're going to have to memorize. Why? Because I'm going to run this sheet off to you, and you're going to put it inside that drawer. Okay, when y'all get to this. Now we have and of course, this is where we set our range, right? I'm sorry. So this is where we set a range, and then this is where we set a time within that range. Everybody okay? So ours will probably be in seconds. So I would come up here and I say I want a 5-second delay. Then I would turn this to 1, right? Understand? And then I would turn this one to 5. Are you okay? Make sense? Then what we have to do is we have to control the contact. And I really got to figure this. Now, what they don't do here, so this is a PBM that we have. So that would be this guy right here, PBM. Here's our contact. So this guy's got 2 contacts in it, and it's a single pole double throw. And so if I wanted to have a normally open contact, I could use 1 and 3, or I could use 11 and 9. If I wanted one normally open and one normally closed, then I could use 1 and 3, and I could use 11 and 8, right? Understand? If I wanted to switch between the two, like I could have, if I had a common, like this was hooked up to L1, then I could come up here and this would give me a normally closed and a normally open, but it would be on the same rung, right? I'm sorry, they could be on different rungs. I'll have to show you that. Here's our contact right here. So here's the power. So this guy's got to be powered up all the time. Okay. It says I can put an L here and I could put a neutral there. So that means this would be L1 and this would be L2. Or we can power this thing up off DC. So this thing will run on AC or DC. So this guy's got to be powered up, right? Y'all understand that? Because it's solid state. Then once we program it, we're either going to close the switch between 4 and 5. If I close the switch between 4 and 5, then this is an on delay timer. But remember, what we can do, if we want an on delay timer, we really don't have to do that. Y'all remember what we did in the last class for our programmable timer? Anybody remember? So that was, right, that was what? Yeah, that was last month. So what we can do is we're just going, let's say we program it to be an on delay timer. What we would have to do, of course, on this one is we have to, since it's solid state, we have to power it up, right? Y'all understand that? But what we can do on this thing is, if it's an on delay timer, and let's just put like a push button right here. We can come over here, and this could be the timer. Now we got two options. We could come up here, and we could put it. We could come up here. We could come up here and put the timer directly across the power, right? Does that make sense? And then we can control it with a contact like this. And this right here would go up to, what was it? Where is it at? So what we could do, so 2 is power, right? 2 and 10 is power. But if we got it set on delay, then we have to have a contact between what? 2 and 5. You understand that? So far. So this is one way we can do it. And then of course this would be 2, and this right here would be 5. Or we could come up here and do this. This would be 2, and this right here would be 5. So when I press the button, we're going to tell it to start timing, right? You understand? Does that make sense? So this is the easiest way to do an on delay timer. Now the off delay timer, we would have to do it this way. So an off delay timer, what we would have to do is we would literally have to come over here and have a contact between here and here. So if they tell you it's an off delay, we would have to control this with a contact. But this is for what type of timer? Off delay. So when we close that button, we put power on 2, but we also put power on 5, which tells it to start what? Start timing. So the on delay is real easy. All you got to do is make sure you jump between what? 2 and 5. And after that, on delay. Off delay, though, you're going to have to control it with that contact. So here, I think we set it up for what? OP, right? And then set it for the time we want with the next 2 turns, using that little Phillips head screwdriver that's inside your toolkit. This makes sense? So here's your pin out, so it's not real. And like I said, you don't have to memorize this, because what I'm going to do when y'all go up and head to lab is I'm going to go down there and go ahead and make copies of this. So here's our pin out, right? You okay? So our contacts are over here, right? Between what type of contact you decide to use, depending on what you're trying to design, right? You okay? And we got 2. Single pole, double throw. In fact, they're acting like a double pole, double throw, because they're actually operated by the same actuator. Then we have to have a what? Have to bring in our L2 comes into what? 10. L1 comes into 2. And then if we're using an on delay, we just put a jumper between 2 and 5. Set our time. Everybody okay? All right, guys, let's go to lab. I'm going to go ahead and I got to go down to